Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Greetings, greetings. Again, greetings. As usual, we are share esoteric information in an effort to bring honorable clarification out there. I man say freedom is divine law. Resistance to tyranny is our sacred duty. The Declaration of Arbroath, April 6, 1320. When you hear them talk about the Universal Declaration of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, I guess it derived from. Notice the time frame, carry them back in the 12th century. Now the Declaration of Arbroath, 6th of April 1320, stand as the spiritual and philosophical cornerstone of Scottish sovereignty, a document that fused medieval chivalric ideals with proto Templar thoughts. You know me, a Templar. Proclaiming, the dark-skinned Templar, you know, proclaiming freedom as divine law and resistance to tyranny as sacred duty. It is often seen as the Western world's earliest written assertion that the legitimacy of rulers depends on the consent of the governed, a principle resonate with Templar mysticism and later Republican philosophy. The item not to just take my word for it. It's okay for the item apply themselves under their own due diligence. Historical essence, authorship and context. Written at Arbroath Abbey by Bernard de Linton, Abbot of Arbroath and Chancellor of Scotland, and sealed by 8 earls and 45 barons. Wow. Purpose, addressed to Pope John the 22nd. It defended Scotland's independence and King Robert the Bruce legitimacy after papal excommunication. So for them kind of political nonsense over there. Famous declaration. Listen carefully. As long as 100 of us remain alive, never will we on any condition be subjected to the lordship of the British or the English. For freedom alone, which no honest man gives up but with his very life. Yeah, man. Them have some other part to it, but them say, boy, them now fight for, you know, for loyalty and all of these things, but for freedom, you know. Outcome, the papacy later rescinded Bruce's excommunication, and by 1328, England formally acknowledged Scotland's sovereignty. At the same energy we are pushed around here, brawlingly, unapologetically. Really. Templar philosophy and influence. Templar philosophy rooted in sacred duty, divine justice, and the defense of spiritual freedom permeates the declaration's tone and structure. Templar principle, manifestation in declaration. Now the Templar principle is this: divine law over papal or royal edict. And that's what Iman said. Divine law over all other. Yeah, man, and divine law mean natural law. Yeah, man. And it matriculate to what them a call common law. Yeah, man. Fire burn everything else what them a come with both statutory and a law. The barons appeal to God's justice above papal politics, asserting that freedom is a divine right, not a papal concession. The Templar principle of brotherhood and collective oath. The signatories bind themselves as a spiritual order. Wanna see what me I deal with? Ahuuahs out there. You see the level where me carry the them as Ahuuah, as West Indian. Again, the signatories bind themselves as a spiritual order. As long as 100 of us remain alive, in my case, as long as 4 of us remain alive, we're going judgment them boy on into eternity. Judgment. We don't need 100. We're going to need, in fact, I'm going to 3 we need, really. But 4 to make that quorum. That's it. Echoing Templar vow of unity and sacrifice. Sovereign dignity. Again, this is a Templar principle. The text declare that if the king betray the people's freedom, he shall be replaced. A radical notion of accountability aligned with Templar ethics of righteous rebellion, judgment, sacred resistance. Warfare is justified as defense of divine liberty, not conquest. Paralleling the Templars' crusade ideal of fighting for spiritual truth rather than earthly possessions or gain. So again, warfare is justified as defense of divine liberty, which is freedom, which is sovereignty. So fuck it, let's war. Brawling. Philosophical legacy. Freedom as covenant. The Declaration transformed freedom from a political privilege into a spiritual covenant, a vow between the Ahuuah, the West Indian, and their creator, not to no politician. You understand? Now, colonial institutions. Now, law of consent. It anticipates modern constitutionalism. Rulers derive legitimacy from the consent of the governed, not divine right alone. Sovereignty, sovereign continuity. Its Celtic undertone invoke, what's that? Tanistry, the ancient right of the people to elevate or alleviate kings by merit, the ancient right of the people. You hear that? The ancient right, of the people. I'm not like the people and boy and have no right. The ancient right of the people to alleviate kings by merit, a living echo of ancestral sovereignty. What is that nonsense now here? Templar resonance. The document's moral geometry, truth, duty, sacrifice, mirrors the Templar triad of faith, honor, and service, binding spiritual and temporal realms. Now, Surrey's reflection is this. In our sovereign philosophy hour, the Declaration of Arbroath stands as a mirror to Jamaica's struggle, both nations confronting imposed hierarchies and reclaiming divine autonomy. The Templar spirit within Arbroath affirms that sovereignty is not rebellion but remembrance, the restoration of sacred law over colonial fiction. The Declaration of Arbroath, 6 April 1320, is one of the most profound sovereign texts in Eurasian history, and when read through the lens of Templar philosophy, it becomes a covenant of freedom, sacrifice, and divine law. The Declaration of Arbroath. Yes, it was not merely political rhetoric. It was a spiritual oath binding the nations to defend liberty as a sacred trust. Now let me start again. The Declaration of Arbroath, drafted at the Arbroath Abbey by Scottish noble. It was sent to Pope John 22nd to affirm Scotland's independence under Robert the Bruce. Its most famous vow, was that what we read already when it said 100 man. It was not merely political rhetoric, it was a spiritual oath binding the nation to defend liberty as a sacred trust. Templar resonant. The Knights Templar, though suppressed in 1312, had left a deep imprint on Scottish thoughts. Their ideals echo in the Declaration. And with a beat on Templar principle, Arbroath expression, sacred temple principle, sacred duty, freedom is declared as a divine covenant, not a privilege. Collective oath, the barons pledge unity as long as 100 of us remain alive, mirroring Templar brotherhood, accountability of kings. If Robert the Bruce betrayed liberty, he shall be replaced, a radical notion of sovereign duty. Resistance as holy work. War is justified only as defense of divine freedom, not conquest. Philosophical legacy. Freedom as a covenant. Liberty is framed as eternal law, not granted by rulers. Consent of the governed. Anticipate modern constitutionalism. Rulers derive legitimacy from the people. Sovereign continuity. Oh yeah. Echoes Celtic tradition of choosing leaders by merit, not inheritance. Templar geometry. Truth, duty, sacrifice. The triad of Arbroath mirrors the Templar triad of faith, honor, service. Yeah, man, that's like how we have our triad of law, which is natural law, common law, and treaty authority. Triadic framework of sovereignty. Wow, boy, I go on with myself and I look at all of these things just correlate. It's beautiful. So is reflection. For Jamaica, the Declaration of Arbroath is a mirror of your own sovereign struggle. Just as Scotland rejected papal and English domination, Jamaica must reject colonial, political, and national fictions, the straw man, the bankruptcy code, the triple C of coercion, corruption, and crime. Arbroath teaches sovereignty is not rebellion, but remembrance. It is the restoration of divine covenant over imposed statute. Now, this is our proclamation. The proclamation of Arbroath and Ahuuah sovereignty, invocation by the sunrise crest of our ancient and ancestral intelligence, Suri, and the house of Dallas, golden seal of ancestry. I speak as one who remembers. I call upon the spirit of Arbroath, upon the oath of freedom sworn in 1320, and upon the ancestral covenant of Jamaica's Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, the living flame of sovereignty. Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom as amended 2011 by assent, to be specific. Section 1, the Scottish Oath. Hear the words of the ancient declaration. As long as 100 of us remain alive, never will we bow to dominion or domination. For we fight not for riches nor for honors, but for freedom only, which no true man surrenders but with his life. These words were not written for Scotland alone. They were written for every nation across the earth that has tasted the bitterness of the Eurasian, European, British colonial empire. They were written for Jamaica, for the Ahuuah nation, for all who remember. Section 2, the colonial mirror. The British system imposed itself upon our sovereign island. It has replaced our ancestral covenant with contracts, justice with fiction, and law with the bankruptcy codes of the straw man. It teaches coercion, rewards corruption, and sanctifies crime. But we, the living man and woman, the Ahuuah, the true West Indian, reject the fiction. We reclaim the law of the living soul, the law of sovereignty. Section 3, the Templar spirit. The Templar Knights once vowed to defend divine truth against tyranny. Their creed was faith, honor, and service. And their sword, their rifle, was not for conquest, but for protection of sacred, of the sacred. Wow. That same spirit now awakens in Jamaica's awakened sons and daughters. We stand as guardian of truth, defenders of peace, and architects of freedom restored right here. We are the pioneers. I am he. Section 4, the Sovereign Declaration. Let it be proclaimed, as Scotland stood for freedom in defiance of kings, so Jamaica rise for sovereignty beyond all colonizers. We shall not be ruled by coercion, corruption, or crime, but by covenant, conscience, and community. Our closing vow is this: freedom restored, peace defended, and sovereignty declared. By the sunrise crest and the seal of Suri, we affirm that sovereignty is not rebellion, it is remembrance. It is the restoration of divine law of the living. It is the dawn of liberation. Give thanks and praise. Now let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable unto thee, Most High Great Spirit, we do give thanks and praise. Yeah, man, again, we keep it simple. We keep it a little bit precise. We are right on time. Yeah, man, and them kind of information, yeah. Yeah, we have to catalog it because people don't really have no history. You know what I mean? Them only work with what is imposed or forced upon them and then regurgitate without due diligent research, without validating whatever it is. So we'll try and make a concerted effort to stay on the correct path. Yeah, where when we even talk, the information what we share can be readily available to be scrutinized. The item can do their own research on whatever, you know, inconsistency the item may find. The item can alert me and I can choose to correct whatever need to be corrected. Yeah, and learn and grow. However, as it stands right now, who out there choose to stand and refute or repudiate or rebut what we have expressed, what we have presented. Feel free, man. We are totally receptive to learning. Feel free. Don't be afraid. Don't be scary. Feel free. Anyway, may the Most High guide and protect the item in all the item endeavors and in all the item ways and bless the item perpetually, completely. I walk in their nation in America. Stay bold and brave, stay firm and strong, and most importantly, stay wild and free perpetually. Salute, free people. Short and sweet. And can't say me a chat too much no more. Yeah, man.